Stop recording.
We are not the same. Hello there, this is Alex from the Target World podcast, and I hope you're liking and sharing the hitting the bell is all appreciated for the podcast. Today we're going to discuss episode 1 of Noughts and Crosses, the Mary Blackman book that has just been made beautifully for the BBC. It's a very interesting story. If you've never read Mary Blackman's Noughts and Crosses, there's 4 books now because she's just brought out a new book, I think. And they're basically set in alternative Britain where it's called Albion from the Shakespeare reference, and you've got Africa that controls the whole world basically. So whites are now majority basically, instead of blacks being the minority. It's flipped round. It's a very interesting concept. Basically, there's a politician who doesn't want any of the white people to get into anywhere, who's played fantastically by Patterson Jeffries. And it's got a really good, strong cast of young actors as well as, standard really good actors like Patterson Jeffries, Ian Hart, there's loads of good people. Raki Amiki was in Lip Service a few years back. And these really good young actors. And basically, it is Romeo and Juliet, but done modern. Basically, the whole thing is about 2 young adults who fall in love, and they're not meant to. They're segregated because one is white, one is black. And he's not the ordinary sort of white person who doesn't have, industry, but he's slowly being corrupted and seeing how the black world exists and how corrupted it is. It's like a motorbike go by, it's the joys of traffic. And he's sort of being corrupted. One of his best friends, when they're out for a night, gets battered and eventually killed by the state. So it's sort of slowly being corrupted, and he manages to become the first sort of white person who gets into the military, cadet place, a bit like our Sandrine. So there's lots of things going on. There's racism, there's religion, there's culture, there's lots of sort of original African culture. When their mother has her birthday, they do like an African dance and ceremony. So there's lots of that sort of culture built into it. And so that's an important factor of that. It's beautifully shot. There's some fantastic music for it. You can get the playlist on BBC Sounds in England. It's a very enjoyable watch. I look forward to watching the other episodes. Again, it's annoying because they are all available on BBC iPlayer, but I can't watch them because there's no audio description, only on episode 1. I'd love to know your feelings on that if you're blind and watch the podcast. We need to have this fixed, so when something gets put on as a whole thing to binge, the audio description is added, in my opinion. But it's well worth watching. It's a great story. I think it's going to get more interesting and darker. Loving how Patterson Jeffries is basically being Boris Johnson as the Prime Minister. It's very well done. Beautifully shot, lovely lighting, nice scenery, and great music. So if you haven't watched it, please do, as it's brilliant.